Welcome, everybody, to week 2 of the AFC West show. We got Omar coming back in. Sit down there. What's up, dude? I got the 2 co-hosts back with me. Omar representing the first place Las Vegas Raiders. Gotta love that. And then we also have representing the Chiefs, Lisa Fox. Lisa, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm great, Rob. How's it going?
It's going good. Hey, it was an incredible week of football starting Thursday night with the Chiefs-Lions game, and then obviously moving into Sunday with the 2 games that involved AFC West teams, the Chargers versus the Dolphins, and the Raiders versus the Broncos. And I was just actually given this little nugget of information via text. All the games that involved AFC West teams all had a difference of 2 points or less. That's how close these games were for all 3 of our games. They were all within 2 points.
True. I didn't think about that.
Yep. That's how close everything was. For all 3 of these teams. And I just want to start with talking with the Dolphins Chargers game, because just in my opinion, I mean, I know the Chiefs Lions game was Thursday night and all eyes were on that, but the shootout that happened between the Dolphins and the Chargers, I had mentioned it on Sunday that this is the type of game that the NFL wants. This is the high offense, back and forth, throw the penalties out. You can't hold, you can't do anything as a D-back. So this is the type of game. You guys, I obviously talked a lot about the Charger game. I was a little bit disappointed with it. But from an outsider take, Lisa, what was your take and thoughts on the Chargers and the Dolphins game?
Honestly, wow. It was a shootout. It was something else. But Tyreek Hill is just a cheat code. I mean, that's what I came away with. You just throw it up and Tyreek, I mean, nothing against Tua. I mean, he's got to be on point. But, man, you just throw it up and Tyreek Hill will go get it. Nobody can stay with him. He is a cheat code. And the Chargers, they had their opportunities. They did not capitalize on their opportunities. Again, no offense. But that was a little disappointing to see, because, I'm waiting to see Herbert step up and take, and take that step that everybody's expecting him to take. He's so talented. And I was looking, I wrote something down here. Let me find it. I was watching the game again, and yeah, I'm old school because I use my little notes. But he was 20 it was like the fourth quarter. He was 21 of 30 with 201 yards and 1 touchdown. So less than 10 yards per pass. What is going on?
Well, Lisa, I got to tell you something, because some of these numbers to me were completely opposite of an actual Charger game. And this is going to be Kellen Moore's stamp on the offense. They rushed for 233 yards, the Chargers. If you paid attention to any Charger game last year, I don't think they ever, they might have broken 100 maybe once or twice all year. So to have, they had Eckler go for 117, and then Josh Kelly went for 91. Right. That was a big, and I think the running game was something that they wanted to make sure that they put that stamp on the game that, hey, listen, we're going to be a different offense. We're going to come down and run it down your throat, as opposed to, trying to have Herbert drop back 50 times and try to pass.
I guess that makes sense. You've had issues with your wide receivers and injuries and things, and you do have Austin Eckler. But man, you've got Justin Herbert too. So I mean, and I'm sure that things they'll have different offenses for different teams. I totally understand that, but that was a little bit surprising for me, coming out of the gate.
Now, Omar, the one thing I'm going to talk about, total yards, was they almost had 1,000 total yards combined with these two offenses, right? Obviously, when you have that much offense, what happened to the defenses for both these teams?
Yeah, I mean, what defense, right? The game certainly didn't do anything to suggest that the Chargers finally have a defense in place, right? We talked about some of their additions to the team. You got Bosa, you got Mack, but we talked about the failings of the secondary last week, including J.C. Jackson. The defenses were horrible in this game. Now, you and I talked about, right before we came on, the NFL, and I'll let you go into this more, about how they tailor the game offensively. I think all of us know that pretty well. But that does put the defense at a disadvantage to where you're going to see a lot of these games, and the defenses are going to look worse and worse, even though a lot of the times you're looking at a lot of good defensive players that are just put in bad situations due to the offensive rules that are out there. That being said, though, as Lisa said, right? I mean, Tyreek Hill is a cheat code. So you got him and Tua virtually unstoppable this past weekend. Herbert didn't really look like himself, but their run defense, as you mentioned, was horrible, letting Eckler and Kelly go off. So I don't think either of these teams are going to be looking really well defensively this year. Anyways, I know a lot of people hyped up the Miami defense during the preseason, but unless they can come together, and again, it's week one, so we don't want to overreact too much, but these two teams have always struggled defensively, and I don't see very much improvement so far.
Yeah, no, I was actually very disappointed with the Chargers defense, being a Charger fan. I thought we would play better, but here's the thing, you can't necessarily play, obviously you can't play man-to-man defense with your D-backs against Tyreek Hill. That's a mistake right there. And like we said, the way that the NFL is today, you can't really even touch a receiver coming off the line. So they're getting clean breaks off the line. They're able to just kind of run, and that's right up Tyreek Hill's. That's Tyreek Hill right there for you, being able to run. So that was a tough game, but it was fun.
If you have the speed to, I just wanted to say, if you have the speed like Tyreek Hill to blow the top off of the coverage, you're gonna be running free all day in this league.
Yep. That's exactly what's happening. It's not going to be just the Chargers. It's going to be to every single team that the Dolphins play, because obviously there's nobody on the defensive side that can keep up with Tyreek Hill. I mean, that like Lisa said, that's a cheat code right there.
But where's the too high safety that everybody played against the Chiefs? I mean, where's that? I'm sure that'll come into play sometime this season, but we'll see if that works. But man, whew, I don't know if it will. I don't know if it will.
I don't know what. Once again, it comes back to our defensive guru, who is our coach. Coach Staley is supposed to be this incredible mind when it comes to defenses, and to let the Dolphins get 536 yards of offense and Tua throwing the ball for 466 yards, to me. But listen, it's not just. I don't want to just focus and. I don't want to talk too much about this one game, but, you got to also talk of the lack of pressure that they got on Tua. Tua was able to just stand back there and just throw it. I mean, what happened? Where was Bosa? Where was Mack? Where was all this pressure that the Chargers were supposed to get from their defensive line, their linebackers? It was nothing. Nobody got near them. So to me, that was a big issue too. So.
You're right. There was no pressure. I think I heard Khalil Mack's name once. Yep. I don't think I heard Joey Bosa's name. I don't know. I don't know. I was just really surprised on both sides that it was such a shootout, and and the defense was almost non-existent. It was fun to watch, but it doesn't bode well for the future. So it'll be interesting to see how you guys, shore up that defense and come together.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Omar.
No, I was going to say, and even more concerning is the fact that they gave up all that production, the 500 yards, the 8 yards of play. But also, they did that while getting multiple turnovers. They may have not gotten pressure, but Miami turned the ball over. The aforementioned J.C. Jackson, who we talked about, had a bad year last year, had an interception. Nick Williams had a fumble recovery. So they had turnovers. They were just not able to capitalize.
Right. No, that's true, too. That's true. Definitely scratch your head type game, but it was an interesting game, fun game to watch. Don't get me wrong. I would have liked them to pull it out there at the end, but it didn't happen. But the takeaways for me is it looks like the Chargers offense underneath Kellen Moore will definitely be a little bit more dynamic, be able to score a little bit more. We're just going to have to see what happens with the defense and the improvements on the defensive side to me.
Hey, one quick thing, Rob. So you were talking about the defense, and they did come through on the last drive, So what do you think about that O-line of yours? I mean, they seem to do really well in the run game.
Right. Well, so what happened was, somebody actually brought that up to me too, and they were like, well, Herbert got sacked twice on that last series. And I came back and real quick and was like, listen, when the defense, when you got a 1st and 20 yards, or, you have to go and basically throw the ball and you're one-dimensional, these defensive linemen are just pinning their ears back and just they're heading at they don't have anything else they have to worry about. So that's a tough situation to be in, especially, with limited time to go in the game. Your quarterback's dropping back 7 steps to 10 steps, so he's going to be back there, and that's a tough situation for an offensive lineman to be in when there's no other possibility of a.
Did we lose Rob?
Uh-oh. And I heard like the Microsoft turn-off sound, so I thought it was my computer for a second. All right, we'll just keep it moving until he comes back.
Okay.
One thing I did see, Lisa, though, was Miami's run game was horrible, right? I mean, they showed that they needed someone in the offseason like a Dalvin Cook.
It really was bad. I was surprised, but man, I think it was just an afterthought, because why do you even need a run game? Honestly, you've got Waddle, you've got Hill, and I don't even know what the tight end's name is. I don't know. But do you even need seriously,
Gesicki.
You just need Gesicki. Thank you. So you need a run game to mix it up a little bit, but other than that, I don't see anybody complaining about that. But what really did kind of make me think is what the other offensive players think about that. I mean, it is just one game, but what happens if it's like that every single game? I mean, are they going to
start to scheme against the pass, right?
Well, yeah, but are they going to be upset because it's all Tyreek? I mean, is Waddle going to say, "Hey, man, I'm fast too. Where's mine?" Are the running backs going to say, "Yo, we're here. Hello"? So that's what I thought when I saw that, because I was like, "Man, this is crazy. It's just Tua and Tyreek." So that was my thought.
Yeah, no, it definitely was, and I mean, like you said, just a cheat code. You've seen them because you had them as your cheat code for a while there. So, I think that they have a virtually unstoppable offense as long as they can keep Tua upright, as we mentioned last week.
Absolutely, and he did very well with staying upright. So kudos to Tua.
Yeah, and that offensive line. Rob, yeah.
Sorry about that. We just had a power outage blip in my house here. It was like something just completely went dead. Oh, it's black.
Lisa said, "Did we lose Rob?" And I said, "I heard like a Microsoft turnoff sound." So I'm
Yeah,
not
it was
sure
like a
what's
black.
happening.
It was like a blackout. I don't know what happened, but I'm sorry. I'm back. I apologize.
Oh, we're glad you're back. We were just finishing up talking about Tua and Tyreek and the whole cheat code thing.
Oh, yes. Well, like I said, I was just. It is what it is. We'll see what happens. We'll talk about later on in the show about next week's opponents for the Chargers. But got to throw it to Omar. Omar, let's talk a little bit about the Raiders Broncos game. All right. I talk about evenly matched. Total yards, the Raiders 261 yards total offense. The Broncos 260 yards total offense. Basically completely even. Wilson, no interceptions, 2 touchdowns. Garoppolo, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, it was very evenly matched. What was your take on the game? What were your thoughts on obviously your team and the Broncos team?
Yeah, I mean, this was, and you mentioning the fact that they were so even just brings tears to my eyes because the Broncos are not a good team. So if we're even with them, that means we're both not good. And that's what it was. It was 2 not very good teams trying their best, not executing very well, and coming up with a very lackluster 17-16, 200-yard performance that even I was bored at points watching that game, and I was arguing with the Broncos fan next to me. They really needed, both of these teams had something to prove, and neither one of them proved it. For Sean Payton, his first game as the Broncos coach, this was the same exact score that they beat the Seattle Seahawks by last year in game 1. While Russell Wilson, while they had less penalties and Russell didn't turn the ball over, they still got the same amount of offense, so it really doesn't matter. The Raiders had even less offense with Jimmy Garoppolo, which was expected because his arm isn't as good as Derek Carr's. He dealt with the injury in the offseason, blah, blah, blah. And that's what the game was, blah. It was really just 2 bad teams trying their best to win a game. I'm happy the Raiders came out with a victory. I'm very happy, but it doesn't inspire confidence in me. And as I mentioned to you earlier, and you'll probably hear me say a couple times in this show, I am not realistic about us staying in first place. So my happiness is kind of, tendered in that point.
All right, Lisa. What were your thoughts as a outsider watching this game?
It was very interesting watching the 2 go at each other. My first thought was, how weird was it to see Jimmy Garoppolo and Russell Wilson playing in the Broncos Raiders game? That was kind of crazy to watch, first of all. Secondly, I thought that the Garoppolo to Myers connection, the New England connection, there may be something there. I don't know. Josh McDaniels, the whole thing, I don't know. I honestly don't think Jimmy will make it the whole season because he was kind of injured the first game. So nice fake though on the concussion thing, but he didn't expect him that he had to go out of the game. So I thought that was kind of cool that he played it well, but he had to go out of the game. But I don't think he's going to make it the whole season. I think he's just too injury prone. Josh Jacobs is amazing, and I honestly thought it was an interesting game. I think that with division rivals, all the games are going to be tough. So they're always going to be hard fought, and sometimes they're not going to be high scoring. So I took that game with a grain of salt.
Looking at both teams, as a Chief fan, do you have a better? Do you feel better about the Chiefs' chances in the AFC West after seeing that game, seeing how those 2 teams played? Is it too early to tell? Do you have a little bit more confidence?
I think that I said in the last time we were together that I didn't have confidence in Russell Wilson. He looked good. He looked confident, much more confident than he did last season. He made some passes and he was out. He was outside the pocket. So, we got to keep him in the pocket. But yeah, he looked confident. He looked good. So that'll be interesting to go against them to see how we do against Sean and Russ. But I thought Jimmy was a little skittish. I mean, I thought his footwork was, he is really very, jumpy in the pocket. He looks nervous. I think he's afraid of getting hurt. I could be wrong. Maybe it's just, being in a new place. I'm sorry, but I kind of feel sorry for Davante Adams. He left Green Bay hoping for greener pastures with, Carr, and now Carr is gone and he's got Jimmy G and Josh Jacobs, and I didn't see him use that much. Of course, that might change as they go along, but I thought that was really unfortunate, and hopefully he'll have a good season.
Omar, I got a question for you now. Lisa brought up about how attentive Jimmy G looked, injury prone. Is that one of the biggest fears as a Raider fan, the health of your quarterback?
By far, yeah, definitely. The fact that we got rid of Carr, who, although he got injured a couple of times, was not injury prone and played most of the games and even played through a lot of injuries, aside from the broken ankle he had, which obviously you can't do. That being said, we brought in Garoppolo. We knew there were chances for these injuries to happen. As Lisa said, he already got knocked out with checking on if it was a concussion or not. Thankfully, it wasn't. But if you are not going to be confident, as Lisa mentioned, which I completely agree, Russell Wilson was more confident in the pocket. Jimmy G was not. Just like Lisa said, Jimmy G looks scared back there. And again, it may be rust. It's the first week. He's coming back from a foot injury. Maybe he's trying to avoid getting hit as much. But what that does is that makes you more prone to mistakes. That makes you prone to throwing those interceptions or fumbling the ball when you're more concerned about protecting yourself within the pocket than playing football. That being said, I agree. I don't think Jimmy G is going to last. I agree with Lisa completely. I think he's going to get injured at some point. Hopefully not major, but he's going to miss a couple games here and there. And we'll be hoping and wishing that we still had Derek Carr at that point. And the season is not going to go well. Davante Adams will be traded. He's probably not happy that he got the second amount of targets after a New England player that was brought in, but they're trying to turn it into New England West, and that is what they're doing. Whether that's good enough for us, we'll see. I don't think so, but.
All right. Well, it's an interesting statement about Adams. You have the feeling he's going to be traded. It's surprising that, there hasn't been any grumblings from him yet. He's been kind of, trying to keep his mouth shut, which I think is a good way to get traded, because you don't want to necessarily, talk your way out of a trade. It's always, I think it's less is better when it comes to a trade.
And he almost did that in the offseason. He made a little bit of a comment about McDaniels, and everybody said, "Oh, Davante wants out." And honestly, he probably does. As Lisa said, he came for a different experience. He didn't come for this. This is not what he signed up for. This is not what he wanted, and he probably still doesn't want it right now. Garoppolo doesn't have the kind of arm that will lend to getting Davante the ball where he wants it or needs it. They had 9 targets yesterday. He had 6 catches, 60 yards. Not very impressive for one of the best receivers in the game. And again, I think that's more on Adams.
All right. Well, the last game was the first game, Thursday night game. I was actually very excited to watch this game. I ended up staying and watching the whole game. That's how excited it was because, number one, obviously the Chiefs being in our division, but also there's a lot of people who are really high on the Detroit Lions. We actually mentioned it. I think I did mention the money line for the Lions being a very good bet for last week, which would have been a nice little hit. I did bet that, by the way. But at least I'm sorry to say that. But I did.
How much did you hit on it?
Huh?
What was the
What's that?
what was the line on it? Was it 180?
I think it was, yeah,
Plus
I think it was like plus 180. Yeah, when I got in on it. So that was a nice little bet there for the Lions. Real quick, like to me, something that stood out. Well, two things stood out to me about the Chiefs, because the Lions obviously are not in the AFC West. So I don't want to spend a lot of time talking, but Lisa, you had mentioned how you were a golf fan. I think you said 253 yards, touchdown pass. Played a very good game. Very poised, very did what he needed to do. But the Chiefs' offense now, obviously, not having Travis Kelce is a big blow. It does probably change things up a lot. But the rushing game for the Chiefs.
What rushing game?
Exactly. So I'm going to start with that question to you, Lisa. Is that first? I mean, it's only the first game. I know your star tight end who, obviously changes the offense a little bit dynamically when he's there. But is there a concern over the running game for the Chiefs?
I don't think there really is a concern about the running game. Nobody that I've talked to was really concerned about that. Honestly, everybody was concerned about the drops because that was crazy. So no one really even talked about the running game that I know of. And I think it's mainly because Pacheco was injured and he had surgery in the offseason. So he's on a pitch count. So he's coming back very slowly, and nobody really expects a lot out of CEH. Pacheco, he had a couple of decent plays, but nothing major. But he usually comes along as the season goes on. So no one's really said much about the running game. I'm a little concerned because we have such a great interior offensive line, why we can't get it going sometimes inside. But I guess some people say that from time to time, and then other people, it just kind of goes by the wayside because we're winning. So, but yeah, that doesn't seem to be a huge concern for most Chiefs fans.
Well, and it's funny too, because Lisa, the second thing I have noted is the receiving corps and all those drops. So I figured I'd start off. I thought I'd be unique and start with the running game first, because I know everybody was talking about the receiving corps. But Omar, like, is that something that stood out as somebody just watching the game, not a Chief fan? The receiving corps. What are your thoughts on the receiving corps for the Chiefs?
As was said, what running game? What receiving corps? I believe the rookie Rashid Rice, right, was the leading receiver, I believe. Kadarius Toney, who was hyped up all offseason long, even by Patrick himself, was just out here, and that was the main thing with everybody in our group chat and the Bottom Line Sports chat. It was all about the drops that were happening. I couldn't believe that they were not just giving Mahomes a chance. And even if you look at the line that Mahomes had, I believe he had like a 99, QBR, which is very low for him, right? He also had, I believe the yards per attempt were 7 around there or something, or not attempt, but yards per catch, reception, excuse me. They really, really need to find a number one receiver. They tried out Juju last year. That didn't work, and they haven't had one since Tyreek. And Patrick needs weapons, and I do agree that Travis Kelce was hindrance not being there, but that can't all be on him. You've got to have some receivers. And as Lisa mentioned, and as you asked, you got to have a running game. If Patrick Mahomes is your leading rusher with 45 yards, I mean, I'm sorry, you drafted CEH a year ago in the first round. Use him if Pacheco is injured. I don't know. It was just an all-around, very scary offensive performance by the Chiefs. But I also believe that when you have Patrick Mahomes, anything is doable.
Right, and Lisa, I was going to go back to you with that too. I mean, what level of concern is there with the Chiefs' offense, or is there a concern? I guess question.
Everybody thinks we should go out and get a veteran wide receiver. We need to do something because, oh my gosh, if Travis Kelce's not there, what are we going to do? And honestly, if we had not had those drops, which were uncharacteristic, by the way, we would have been perfectly fine. So I think we would have won the game had we not had those drops. But we did, and we lost. So that's unfortunate. And everybody's going to look at that and they're going to say, oh, they're unproven. And they are unproven. But you got to prove yourself sometime. So now's the time to get out there and prove it, because honestly, we believe in this wide receiving core. We believe in Tony. We believe he can be a number one wide receiver. A lot of people are concerned about his health, but they still believe in his talents. They also believe they're crazy about Justin Ross, the undrafted free agent who came out of Clemson. He had issues with his spine, and then he had issues with his foot. He's finally healthy. He's on the team. Again, we have 7 wide receivers. I think they should have used MVS more. I think they should have used Justin Watson more, who are our veterans. However, I think they were just trying to run their program because they've got 7 wide receivers, and that's what they're doing. They're just running their game plan, and it just didn't work out. So I think most people in Kansas City are really unconcerned about the wide receiving core.
Lisa, defensively, the Lions 368 yards against the Chiefs defense. Obviously, that changes now, or how much does that change now that Chris Jones has signed with the Chiefs? Is that a game changer? Obviously, that's probably making Chiefs fans very happy that he has finally signed and is back and delivered.
He's burned some bridges. People are thrilled he's back, but it's not like this big sigh of relief, because he trolled a lot of the Chiefs fans while he was, while he had his holdout, and when a lot of the Chiefs fans were behind him. So he really has some stuff to make up for some of these Chiefs fans. I mean, we're happy he's here, but he hurt our feelings, and so we're not happy about that. So he's going to have to make it up on the field, which I'm sure he will, but I mean, we're taking on the Jaguars. I know we're going to talk about, but he's not in football shape, so we'll see what happens.
Does he play this week?
He's not sure yet. Today was his first practice, so he had a presser today, and they asked him if he was in football shape, and he said, "I don't know. We'll find out." And he said, "We'll find out today." As a matter of fact, so he's on the unofficial roster so for this week, but I don't know. We'll see. It's history.
Yeah, I mean the Lions running game, I think, had almost 120 yards rushing against the Chiefs in that line. I definitely think whatever he can do, just having him on the field, it should help because you're going to need it. We'll talk a little bit about it. Actually, we can kind of go into it now. The Chiefs are playing.
Wait, quickly before you go into it, the funny thing is, they did run it down our throats at the end of the game, and we would need him then, but he's not in any kind of shape to play the entire game and then be fresh for the end of the game. So, again, would he have been helpful at that point? Probably not. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's a very good point. That probably the most important time of the game when you are going to need him, like you said, somebody who is just coming back doesn't have that stamina, obviously, and that's a problem. Omar, do you agree? Real quick, because this is off the subject, but preseason, these guys don't really play that much. Obviously, some don't even play at all. And now you're thrown into these games, like Lisa said, your stamina has to then go from basically some practices to a full-fledged, game where, you have to show up in the fourth quarter. These first couple games of the season, is this really how the NFL is going to be, where you have to basically just get your stamina up during the season?
Yeah, they've actually backed themselves into this corner. The NFL has. First of all, they made all those changes to training camps and OTAs, and you can't have padded practices, which is fine. I'm all about player safety, right? I don't want any of our star players to get hurt either. So if I were a coach, I would probably try to abstain from playing my players as much as possible in the preseason. That being said, I'm not a coach, and I'm looking at these coaches like, y'all, with the less practices you're having in the offseason, with the less time that people are spending together as a team, with the less time they're practicing, getting your, like you mentioned, stamina up, all of that, it compounds. And when you don't play in the preseason, and I even said I thought that, and feel bad for Aaron Rodgers, he got hurt the first drive. It happens. Injuries happen. I thought they should have played Aaron Rodgers in the preseason and gave him some practice. I don't care how long of a veteran you've been in the league. You need practice with your teammates in real game time situations. They're not getting that now, and it's turning into the first and second week.
Right, and actually, kind of, and Lisa, let me ask you this question. I mean, can you put him on like a snap count to where you're trying to get him towards the end of the game? So maybe you only have him play 5 or 6 snaps in the first quarter, and then something like that. Do you think that works in the NFL?
Oh, absolutely. I actually tweeted that out earlier today. I think it was that the Chiefs need to take it slow and easy because we don't need him hurt and then out for the rest of the season. So slow and easy, please, Chiefs. That's what I tweeted out because we need him for the remainder of the season. So, yeah, if he does play, he'll definitely be on a snap count. No doubt about it.
Right. And you worked that.
No, I'm sorry. Just sorry to interrupt. I was just going to agree with Lisa there. If I were a Chiefs fan, I would be very, very upset. As Lisa mentioned, he trolled the Chiefs fan, and he still is up to this day. When he got the contract, and you can get up to $25 million for incentives with the new contract. It's not new. It's just incentives. But then he came back and was like, "Oh, I got all my money back. I'm good." Like, okay, well, that's not what your fans care about. That's not what your organization cares about. They want you to be on the field. And understand, I'm all for players getting their money too. I'm all for players getting as much money as they can possibly get. But at the same time, you've got to treat the organization right and the fans right that are standing behind you, especially when you go out there and say you want to be a Chief for life, and then you're pulling all this garbage.
Absolutely. And he didn't get anything for sitting out either. I mean, he got his regular salary with incentives. So he has to, if he wants to get everything, he has to not only be the defensive player of the year, but we also have to go to the Super Bowl. I have to check and see. I don't know if that is winning the Super Bowl, but we have to at least go to the Super Bowl if he wants to get up to that $25 million that he's bragging about. So not only that, he's got to hit some milestones. So we'll see what happens. But to get all that money back, he's going to have to start playing hard and well. So he's got a lot to prove. And the fact that he sat in the stands while we watched our Chiefs lose to the Lions, that did not go over well with anyone. So that was, I had to tweet something out about that as well. That did not go over well with anybody at all. That was such a horrible, horrible look. So I'm glad that he's back. Not all is forgiven. I told him he needs to give me a nice dinner and some flowers because I'm still a little bit upset. But if he plays well as the season goes along and we get to where we need to go, I'll be happy. But he missed all of training camp, and Andy Reid is known for having one of the hardest training camps to get everybody ready. So he is not ready by a long shot. So it's a little concerning.
To segue into the next topic, the road to the Super Bowl is now going through the Jaguars because that's your next opponent. The Jaguars played the Colts, played very well. Jaguars are one of these other teams that a lot of sports experts are high on. They are very well coached. I know Doug Peterson very well from being here in New Jersey and watching him with the Eagles. You got Trevor Lawrence. You got my son's favorite fantasy player now, Travis Etienne, who had a very good game for him. So he was very happy with that. So the Jaguars are making a lot of people happy, but this is a good game for the Chiefs. Two tough teams right off the bat in the season for the Chiefs. So, Lisa, let's start with you. What are your thoughts? Where are you at with this game with Jacksonville this week?
It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be an interesting game. We played them, and I feel good about the way we played them both times last season. They did not have Calvin Ridley last season, so that'll be a little bit interesting for us. But it's really going to test our DBs, our young DBs, and so we'll see how it goes. I'm a little concerned. I'm not trying to call anybody out, but I'm really concerned about some of their DBs and how they play the game, and I'm concerned about our wide receivers and if they get hurt in this game. So yeah, it's going to be a good game. It's going to test us for sure because our wide receivers need to step up. Our our defense needs to step up again. I'm expecting our linebackers to do really well in this game. We have some really great linebackers: Nick Bolton, Willie Gay, and we have Drew Tranquil now. Sorry. So we'll see how it goes. I always expect a win. So
let me ask you this. Do you think it's a high scoring game?
Now that's a good question. I do. I don't know what the over under is.
Well, that's what I was getting at. The over under is 51.5.
Yeah, I'd take the over.
Okay. All right. I know you don't like numbers as far as scores and everything. So I won't ask too many questions for that. But I figured at least go say high or low. I guess that
I can do. I can do that.
All right. Omar, what are your thoughts as an observer watching this game?
Yeah, this is going to be a very, very exciting game. As you mentioned, all the playmakers that Jacksonville has. Calvin really may be my new favorite fantasy player because he really helped me out this weekend. But they really got a good stack of offense there. Their offensive line is very tough as well, which is going to make it harder on the defensive line of the Chiefs. And if Chris Jones doesn't play, which Lisa said is a possibility, then that's going to be even harder on that defense and their secondary. If the defense can't get pressure from the front, their young secondary is going to deal with Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley and Evan Ingram and Travis Etienne off the backfield. And it's not going to be a fun defensive journey. I hate to, and I won't do it. I don't call anything must win this early in the season. And I don't think I can do that with Kansas City ever until the end of the season because you have Mahomes. But man, if Kansas City were to not win this game and go 0-2 and not have Kelsey and not have Jones and the running game is off, the wide receiving game is off, Patrick Mahomes is still not playing well, that is not a good look for someone who wants to repeat as Super Bowl champions. And I think that would be a lot to overcome.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I mean, that's Lisa. That's why when I saw that over under, because I have the over under on all these games that we're going to talk about, and obviously that one is the highest at 51.5. So I'm looking at that as it's going to be a shootout. It's going to kind of have the same feel of the game that I went through with the Dolphins. That's how I'm kind of thinking this game's going to go.
It may. I don't see it going quite in that direction, but it is definitely going to be a challenge for both teams. So I'm curious to see how it's going to turn out, both defensively and offensively for the Chiefs. It'll definitely be a test. I will admit that I did say something earlier when we were in preseason. I said when the Chiefs lose in the preseason, we usually have a really good season. However, we usually look better than we do this year. So we do have some growing pains in that offense. So hopefully they can kind of get it together and kind of, I just said strap it up and, play with the big boys because you're in the big leagues now, fellas. You got to play. We expect a lot from you.
All right, Omar. We know we got scores from you last. Um, Jaguars money line plus 150 for this game. Very interesting.
I'm taking it. I'm taking it all day.
Very interesting. Yeah, very interesting. But what are your where do you think this game's going?
Just writing this down.
Yeah, I'm taking the Jaguars on the money line. I think Kansas City is going to start out 0-2. I do think it is going to be a shootout. I don't think it'll be as much as the Miami San Diego, so not a 34, 31 or whatever that was. I'm actually going to go with the same exact score I went with last week, and the only reason I'm doing this is because last week when I first gave my score to myself for the Kansas City and the Lions, I said 21-20 Lions. And I took it back, and I was like, no, I think they're both going to score higher. The Chiefs aren't going to – no, sorry, not 21-20. I said 21-17. And I was like, no, there's no way the Chiefs are only going to score 17. So I moved it to 27-24, and it ended up being 21-20. So my original score for this was 27 Jacksonville, 24 Chiefs. I'm going to keep it at that.
Very nice, very nice. Well, I'm in that same – I'm right around that. I definitely think the Jaguars with the getting 3.5 is also a good bet. So, I mean, you can kind of may even throw a parlay in and kind of put those two together and see what happens. But I'm actually going with like 31-28 around that score right there. Within 3, I think that half point is going to come into play for the game.
Okay.
We will see.
Interesting.
We will see.
So are you picking?
I'm going
Jacksonville?
Jaguars. I'm going Jaguars 31-28.
Yeah, he's picking the Jags. But it always amazes me. Never mind. No, I'm gonna say it. It always amazes me how people just totally discount Mahomes year after year after year after year. But okay.
Wait.
I hate to discuss.
Wait, Lisa. Last week, if you watch back the tape of the show last week, I said when I picked that money line for the Lions,
yes.
I said, but the only thing that I am worried about it is 2 words. It was Patrick Mahomes, and that's the same thing this week. 2 words, Patrick Mahomes. You guys, that's the key. But
he played so well. It was the wide receivers who did not catch the balls.
That's what I was about to say. He can only do so much. The minute that ball leaves his hands, somebody else has to step up.
Facts.
So who is, the question will be who is going to step up. If somebody does step up, then you guys are good to go. But if it's like that Lions game, and I'm not even saying drops. I mean, I'm just saying, guys got to get open. Guys got to make plays.
Maybe I said the wrong name. Instead of Patrick Mahomes, maybe I should have said Andy Reid. You don't trust Andy Reid?
Well, I'm going to, like I said, I like Andy Reid too, but I also really like Doug Peterson.
Yeah, you got to give Doug Peterson props.
I hate the Eagles. I can go on record of saying that. I mean, being this close to the Eagles, my whole life, it's just, gives me agita to the nth degree. But I got to give Doug Peterson props because I watched what he did with what he had, with quarterback wise, the whole Nick Foles coming in and not losing a beat, and then, to go in and win that Super Bowl the way he did, I just thought, got to give, he's a good coach, and he knows how to coach up quarterbacks.
Right. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, and I think that's what's going on right now with Jacksonville.
Oh, absolutely. He's not one to be underestimated at all. He's one of the best in the league, I think. But no, my point was you don't trust Andy Reid and his ability to judge the talent on his team and to not feel like he doesn't need to bring somebody in because he trusts the people on his team. I'm just asking because I think everybody's so concerned about our wide receiving core. So I'm just curious.
Omar, what do you think?
Yeah, as a Raider fan, I've said this statement too many times, and it hurts my heart every time I say it. I never doubt Patrick Mahomes, and you shouldn't. Just like you shouldn't doubt Tom Brady, right? You don't bet against Patrick Mahomes. You just don't do it. He's that good. Andy Reid is that type of coach. He has proved it time and again throughout his career that he is that type of coach. So while I do have confidence things around, it's not always on the coach. There's a lot goes into your general manager and what kind of budget you have. Can you bring in players? And then can you even bring players in at this point in time? Most players that are good, at least, are signed to teams, things like that. Now, if you would have gone and got a DeAndre Hopkins, when he was still out there, or a Dalvin Cook or something like that, those are veterans that could have made this team. I don't know if you have the budget. I'm not saying you have the salary cap. I don't know. But I do trust Andy Reid to coach a good team. I just think that this team is devoid of the pieces that you need to be a really great team like the Chiefs have in the past. And I think even with Travis Kelce and Chris Jones, I still think that the running game and the wide receiving game can be improved. And again, I'm not betting against the Chiefs. I still pick the Chiefs to win 13 games. I just think the roster could be better. That's all I'm saying.
All right. One more question before we move on. Lisa, if you did, okay, we say about going out, making a judgment call, bringing somebody in from the receiving standpoint, because that's what, Chiefs fans are clamoring for. Mm-hmm. Who's out there? What name is out there that you would be confident in bringing in that you think can make a difference?
I mean, the only person out there that I can think of right now who's been that's been in the news about maybe leaving or wanting to leave is Mike Evans.
Oh, so okay.
I mean, that's the only person I can think of. So maybe a trade, but that's the only person I can think of. So do you have any thoughts?
I mean, trying to pick somebody up now is tough. I mean, trying to make a trade in the first or second week of the season, that's going to be tough as well, Yeah,
it would definitely be later in the season. What do you think, Omar? Do you have any ideas?
I think Mike Evans would be an amazing pickup for y'all. I think he would be a beautiful wide receiver for Patrick Mahomes to throw to. I think that they would have a great connection. I think that he wants out of Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is not going to be good. They're going to be selling at the trade deadline. I think that's a perfect option. You could also look at Hollywood Brown in Arizona, who, Kyler Murray may be back in the 5th week, but they are probably going to end up trading Ertz and Hollywood Brown. I wouldn't, but that's an option that would be really good for Kansas City as well. And then you can look at the other places that probably wouldn't make as much sense, but you could look at Cleveland and maybe go to a Donovan Peoples-Jones or Amari Cooper. I can't, like you said, there's not really any.
I think we had
left.
I think we had Peoples-Jones on
Julio Jones is a free agent.
No, we talked about Julio Jones a couple of years ago.
No.
Yeah, we had Peoples-Jones on our.
Julio Jones, you got.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we had Peoples-Jones on our when in preseason a couple of years back or something, and yeah, it didn't work. So I doubt they would bring him back.
And you had Landry is ready. You had Landry already, right?
No, we have already. Nope. Have not had Jarvis Landry. Oh, I know some people have talked. Yeah, some people have talked about that, but I don't know. I think that he would just fulfill something that we already have on the team. So, but I could be wrong.
Well, it looks like at least for week 2, you're going into battle with what you got. So, good luck with that.
Thank you.
Next game, very good game too. You got the stunned Bills, who I don't know how they end up losing to the Jets there in that first game. Going against the Raiders, this game is 9.5 points. That's the spread, and 46.5 as the over/under. Omar, what is your thoughts, my man?
I'm taking the spread. I'm taking the Bills and the points. I'm sorry. after what happened last week, how the Bills were embarrassed in New York City, in their home state, against Aaron Rodgers in his debut. Josh Allen looked like absolute garbage. That he knows that he shouldn't be trying to make. He needs to be a little more conservative, and they're going to be just fine. I have no worries about the Bills. The Bills are going to come out very, very angry next week, and they are going to beat the Raiders very, very badly. I see it being anywhere from a 10 to 14-point win. I don't see the Raiders keeping it close. Josh Allen is going to make up for those mistakes that he had. Stephon Diggs had an amazing game. James Cook looked good out the backfield. If it wasn't for Josh Allen's turnovers, the Bills would have won that game.
Yep.
So I've got the Bills 34-21.
Okay. Lisa, what's your thoughts?
This one is tough for me. I do think the Bills will probably win. I do think that they may come out pissed, but honestly, I think that Josh Allen is going to come out more thoughtful, because he's going to have it on his mind. Okay, I can't do this. I need to do that. He's going to be very, I think he's going to be very on point. I think he's going to be taking the I don't want to say the throwaway. What am I trying to say? The under.
Yeah, the intermediary underthrows.
Yeah. I think he's going to take those more because he got crucified in the media. I mean, he just got slaughtered in the media about how he's just ridiculously taking all these chances that he doesn't need to. So I think he's going to be overly cautious. I think he's going to be very precise. And I think he's going to follow the game plan as much as possible. So it's going to be up to the Raiders to make him, just forget about everything and go into Josh Allen mode. So, I mean, if your D-line can do that, then I think you guys have a chance.
I'm going to say the same thing to myself that Rob said to you earlier. Good luck, Omar. That's what I'm going to say.
There's always a chance.
Well, I agree with Omar with his take. I would go with the 9.5 on the Bills to cover. I think that's the way it's going to go. I think Josh Allen does not turn the ball over 2 games in a row like that. I think a lot had to do with just that game in general and everything that was going on. I think he pressed too much. He tried to do too much on that big stage in New York. He tried to show that he was an MVP caliber player. Everybody was talking about Rodgers, and he was like, all right, I'm going to get mine too. But I think he settles down and he plays the game that he needs to play, like you guys were both saying. And I unfortunately for the Raiders, as this is an AFC West show, it could be tough. And that's a good defense too. The Bills play a good defense too, so that could be tough on Jimmy G as well. I can see Jimmy G getting hit a couple times. And
seems like I'll be dealing with a lot of unfortunates this year.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, yes. The other game that's played. Well, I just briefly talk about it. The Broncos are playing the Commanders. I'm actually the Commanders are getting 3.5 points in this game right now. The way the line is, I think I would at this point in time go with the Commanders and the 3.5. I think the Commanders are a good up and coming team. Got a very under the radar type defense. I like Sam Howell as a quarterback, and I think he's got some good, weapons as far as receivers go. So I don't think the Broncos can match up with the Commanders. Does anybody feel different about that game? Either one of you guys?
I personally want the Commanders to win, but it has nothing to do with anything on the field or anybody's talent. Personally, my nephew is on the practice squad for the Commanders. Hopefully he'll be making the squad. So that's why I want the Commanders to win. And plus it's the Broncos.
Nice. Very cool. That's very cool. Omar, you in agreement?
I am not in agreement. I am in agreement that this will be a low scoring game again. I am in agreement that defense is going to be at a premium. The Commanders, as you mentioned, have a really good defense that they've built over the years with Jaron Payne and Anderson and on the defensive line. That being said, I just don't think that Sean Payton is going to not motivate his team enough to lose 2 games in a row at home. If they weren't at home, if they were in Washington, I would take Washington. But being in Denver, I just don't see them losing 2 games in a row at home. And also, being from DC, I watched the Commanders, formerly the other name, growing up my whole life, and they lose games like this. They lose in games where they have to go on the road, where it is an important game to them, because to them, this is an important game. It is to the Broncos, too. But for instance, like let's say that the Commanders were playing the Chiefs in the same situation. The Chiefs may not be taking it as seriously as the Commanders would be. But both of these teams are going to be taking it seriously. I see another low-scoring game, just like the Broncos and Raiders last week. I will take the Broncos. I'm gonna take the Broncos because I don't think Sam Howell's good. I'm sorry, I just don't. I think he's being way overhyped. I think he's going to end up coming apart in the end. I'm gonna say 17-14 Broncos.
Okay.
And I could see it 2017, but
All right. I like that. I like that. I like that. All right. We're going to move right into the last game, the Chargers versus the Titans. So here's my take on this, and then I'll turn it over to you guys. Being a Charger fan, the Titans in the past, we have always been able to handle the Titans, even though they're very like smash mouth, in your face, just pounded down your throat. Obviously, you got to worry about Derrick Henry running all over the defense because in the past, our defense has been up to give up a lot of running yardage. So that's always worrisome. I got to tell you, I've been saying this for a while. The Chargers start out slow. Week 5, there could be a big turnover in week 5, and I mean that by Staley getting the axe. So this is one of those games where you're rooting for your team to win, but I'm also seeing this scenario sort of play out where if the Chargers don't, do well in these first 4 games, especially against Omar's Raiders on that 4th week. Week 5 is a bye, and I could see them making a change at that point in time and, probably turning the team over to Kellen Moore. It would be almost like a script written because if you guys know where I'm going with this, in week 6, we play the Cowboys in LA. So the script is there. It's written already. It's just some things have to play out. So I'm kind of torn in between 2 different scenarios. Obviously, I want my Chargers to win, but there's always that other scenario going on in the back of my head that could finally be that out of this coach who I dislike very much. So, Lisa, what do you think?
I think that, this one I've been thinking about, and it's really tough for me because when we play the Titans, we always have issues because of that damn defense. But I think that you guys are, I what's the over under?
The over under is 45.5.
I would take the under. I take the Chargers in this one. I take the I have no score because I have no idea, but I probably take the Chargers in this one. I mean, I don't believe in Tannehill at all. So, they do have Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry can be stopped. So, you just have to do it. So, I'm going to take the Chargers.
I like that. Omar, what do you think?
I am going to partly agree with Lisa that the Titans defense always is tough. They play, as you mentioned, Rob, that smash mouth football. I live in Nashville, so I've been to plenty of Titans games, and this is one of those games that they win. And this is one of the games that Chargers will lose. They have to travel to the East Coast for a 1 o'clock game. Tennessee fits 70,000 rowdy, drunk fans to start drinking at like 8 a.m., and whether Tannehill is good or not, Derrick Henry has another gear in that stadium, in Nissan Stadium. And I just think that this is one of those, first of all, West Coast teams, not first of all, it's my only point. West Coast teams always have issues going east, right? We always lose those early games when we have to travel to New York or Tennessee or Florida, and we have to play a 1 o'clock game because it's out of their body clocks. I see that happening here. I agree with you. I don't think Staley's a good coach. I think he's a horrible coach, just like McDaniels and Hackett. I think he's the next one gone. Whether it be by the fourth game, no. But you talk about the script. Everybody wants the NFL to have a script these days, right? It's always released. So there you go. It could be possibly true. Aaron Rodgers getting hurt in the first week was apparently in the script. So I don't know how this script works. I wish I was in the writing room. I got the Titans. I'm going to say let's go 20-17 Titans.
Okay, so I think everybody is in agreement. It's going to be a close, tough game. I mean, I don't see, obviously, the Chargers scoring 30-something points this game. But I also don't necessarily see the Titans scoring more than, 25 points either. I definitely it's a ball control type game, obviously, because you got Henry running the ball. Hopefully the Chargers, the way that offense that they played against the Dolphins with a lot more emphasis on the running game. I like that. I hope they continue with that. I hope they just don't scrap that because of the team that they're playing. I hope they try to, have that be part of their offense. So there's a lot of things that I'm interested in, but it's mostly all on the offensive side. The defensive side with Staley, just a little, I don't know. It's kind of one of these things where how many times can he ruin the game? He seems to always do something, whether it be time management, whether it be going for it. It's always something with him. And to me, last week was the defense. I mean, the way that they played defense in that game was just. Yeah, like Lisa said, what happened to the cover two or the over the top safety or whatever? I mean, come on. I mean, that's to me that's football 101. And sometimes, I had mentioned this last year with Staley, and I mentioned this a lot too with baseball too. Some of these coaches they make moves because they feel that they have to, because they feel that they have to be superior over other coaches and players. And that's their way to put their stamp on things by doing it their way. And I think sometimes by doing that, it creates more issues, more problems. And, I definitely see it in baseball a lot where, you take a pitcher out too soon or whatever, and it's just let these guys play. They all make good money. They're all adults. Just let them go out there and do what they can do, and stop trying to overthink it. Stop trying to predict everything that could possibly happen. Just go out there and play the game. Watch the game being played and react to the game, because I'm telling you, everybody else in that arena watching that game realized that Tyreek Hill was just killing that defense. So, I mean, come on, you know what I mean? Like, just open your eyes and watch the game. And I think just that's the issue that I have with Staley. So like I said, I'm kind of torn in between this scenario with the losing streak and the wins. So we'll see how it goes. But listen, it's going to be another great week. It's great that football is back and we're talking like this about football. I mean, we talked for over an hour, basically about three teams. So It's a great thing. Now, Omar, what do you got going on this week? Where can we see you? What else you doing for the rest of the week?
Yeah, if you don't mind, before I do that, I just want to make one note. Just to Lisa
Yep.
mentioned this earlier about the Chris Jones contract. I went and found the stats. So he gets $500,000, or sorry, $1.25 million for 10 sacks, another $500,000 for 5 extra sacks, 15, and then he gets $1 million if he has first team All Pro and a Super Bowl appearance. He gets $2 million if he's Defensive Player of the Year and Super Bowl. So again, yeah, as Lisa said, it's going to be hard to make all those incentives up. Even if the Chiefs were to win the Super Bowl, you'd have to be the Defensive Player of the Year just to get $2 million of that back, which you lost your $3 million in fines. So I wanted to help us out there a little bit for the fans. But anyway,
And he's a game behind.
What was that?
And he's a game behind.
Yep.
Yeah. And so there's playing time incentives as well, which he's not going to probably meet all of them. So anyways, I just wanted to put that out there. But yeah, thank you for having me on, Rob, Lisa, as always, a pleasure. That was an amazing time. You can find me at Ball and Buds. Please subscribe at YouTube, anywhere we're at, and also The Bottom Line Sports. You can subscribe there on YouTube as well. Come join us on Facebook. We have a Facebook group called The Bottom Line Sports. We post a bunch of stories, memes, news, talk trash, and then you can catch The Bottom Line Sports every Sunday night. We're actually moving it to 7:15. So this weekend we were trying to go at 7. I'm a Raiders fan. Jake is a Broncos fan. We're both watching the game intently. 7 o'clock comes around. I'm on vacation back at my grandmother's house in Puerto Rico. So I'm at a bar like in San Juan, and I'm just like, I'm not going to make it by 7. I need to finish this game. Let's move it. So we're thinking about starting at 7:15 every week. So The Bottom Line Sports on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you.
Good job. Lisa, what do you got going on the rest of this week?
Well, actually, I've been sick, so I've been trying to get better. But I'm going to start my podcast finally, Arrowhead High, this weekend. You can find it on YouTube. Have more to say about that coming up. But usually, yeah, you can just find me on Twitter at MediaFox. I talk a lot about the Chiefs, and if you follow me, I am not for the faint of heart. So just letting you know.
Nice. Hey, you got to be real.
That's
right?
An automatic follow right there. That's an automatic,
yep,
follow.
definitely.
Coming right now.
Well, listen, I want to talk in general about the Let's Talk Sports Network. Obviously, go on to the YouTube channel for Let's Talk Sports and subscribe, hit the like button, do what you need to do. This is probably some of the greatest people that I have met in my life. Everybody that we deal with on this network are friends. They're good guys. They're good women. And it's amazing talking to all you guys. And what Dan Harris has brought together on this network is truly amazing. So continue to please share our info. Go watch. There's tons of different shows, like everybody said here, to watch. And I do a lot on the weekend as far as following the football games. I do a coffee break with Dan Harris. We started that show on Saturdays. So I'm doing that. I have an interview show where I have a bunch of stuff going on. And lastly, I just want to talk real quickly. My last interview show, if you haven't seen it, we talked to Dan Schweck, who is the executive director for the Miracle League in Mercer County. And this past Saturday, I had the privilege to go watch opening day there. And it was the coolest thing. So if you haven't watched that episode yet, find out about the Miracle League. There's Miracle Leagues all across the country. So it's not just Mercer County, New Jersey, that this league is in. But it's an amazing organization that, obviously helps children who are less fortunate, who, need assistance to be out on a baseball field. And it is incredible. So real quick, if you guys don't mind, I'm just going to throw up the information for you for the Miracle League. If you want to donate, volunteer, obviously there's Miracle Leagues all across the country. So please donate and just follow. If you have a Miracle League in your area, please just go and follow it. It is a great organization. I can't tell you, watching those kids out on that field and being that close to them and seeing, what this organization does for them, it's insane. So, but But thank you for everybody. Thank you, Omar. Thank you, Lisa, for coming and spending the time. It flew by again. It doesn't seem like we have been talking for an hour and 15 minutes. So thank you so much for coming on the show. Next week, we'll be here again, and we'll be talking, wrapping up our games. So good luck to you guys. Honestly, I do mean that. Good luck to your Raiders, to your Chiefs, and
to the Chargers.
Thank you. All right, guys. Take care.